Okay, let's get into this. We've all done it, right? Lost your keys, can't find your phone anywhere.
Happens all the time. Super annoying.
Exactly. But imagine losing something. Well, a bit bigger. Like, say, the U.S. Navy losing a maybe $67 million fighter jet. Just gone.
Yeah, that's definitely scaling up the problem. It's pretty wild when you think about it. A state-of-the-art Super Hornet just overboard.
Yeah.
In the Red Sea.
That's what we're diving into today, this really unusual incident. An A-18E Super Hornet, literally falling off the aircraft carrier USS Harry S. Truman, happened April 28th, 2025, in the Red Sea.
Quite the story.
Right. So we've pulled together reports from, Jalopnik, Responsible Statecraft, Navy Times, AP, Stars and Stripes, The Independent, even looked at some Reddit threads. Got a summary doc and a timeline, too.
Good range of sources.
Yeah, trying to cover the bases. Our mission here is basically to unpack it all, figure out what went down, maybe why, and just, the whole context around this very expensive splash.
Okay, so let's nail down the basics first. You said April 28th, 2025, Red Sea.
Correct.
And what was lost was specifically an FA-18E Super Hornet. And it wasn't alone, was it? Its tow tractor went with it.
Right, the tractor too. And this wasn't like a flight deck mishap during takeoff or landing. This happened down below in the hangar bay.
Okay, so inside the ship, like the giant garage for the planes.
Pretty much. And the early reports say the move crew, the folks who, push and pull these massive jets around, they lost control while towing it.
Lost control inside. How does that happen? It's not like it's a small space, but still.
Well, that's the key question, isn't it? And most sources seem to point towards one pretty significant event. The carrier, the USS Harry S. Truman, made a very sharp turn, a hard turn.
A hard turn. Why?
That's where it gets really interesting. The suggestion is it was an evasive maneuver.
Evasive, meaning they were dodging something.
Potentially, yeah. Avoiding incoming fire, maybe, or reacting to a perceived threat from Houthi rebels, most likely.
Okay, that fits the context. The Truman's been right in the thick of it with the anti-Houthi operations in that area. U.S. Central Command's been hitting them pretty regularly.
And the Houthis themselves actually claimed they launched drones and missiles at the Truman right around that time.
So the timing lines up for a potential real threat, or at least the perception of one.
Exactly. So the ship banks hard. A vessel that size, even a slight roll is significant, but a hard turn.
It's going to lean a lot. A defense official apparently confirmed that turn was a contributing factor.
Right. And think about the hangar bay design on these carriers. They're not sealed boxes. They have these massive openings on the sides, right, for the aircraft elevators.
Huge doors, yeah. Essential for moving planes up to the flight deck and back.
Jalopnik had some good pictures showing just how big those openings are on similar Nimitz-class carriers. So picture this. The ship suddenly lists heavily.
And anything not absolutely tied down?
Yeah.
Or maybe even if it was supposed to be secured.
Could just slide. We even saw a comment on Reddit, supposedly from a former ABH, that's aviation bosun's mate, handling, the guys who moved the planes.
Okay, what do they say?
They suggested that the sudden list, the lean, was enough to overcome the jet's brakes, assuming they were even fully set for that kind of movement, and it just rolled right out the door.
Wow, just gone.
Yeah.
That paints a picture, a very expensive, very fast picture.
Thankfully, the people involved, the reports say the crew member in the cockpit and the person driving the tow tractor, they managed to jump clear.
That's the most important thing.
Absolutely. One sailor got a minor injury, apparently, but everyone was accounted for. You can replace a jet eventually. People, not so much.
True. Okay, so the jet itself, FA-18E Super Hornet. Any more specifics?
Yeah, Navy Times and Stars and Strikes linked it to Strike Fighter Squadron 136, VFA 136.
Got it. And the price tag, you mentioned 60 to 67 million.
Yeah, there's a bit of a range in the sources. Jalopnik, Navy Times, Independent, Stars and Stripes mostly say around $60 million. Responsible Statecraft put it at least $67 million.
Either way, that's a serious chunk of change sitting on the seabed.
It really is. And it's not just the money, right? It's a sophisticated piece of equipment. It takes time to build, time to integrate. It's an operational asset. Losing one isn't trivial.
Definitely impacts readiness.
Nope.
Even it just temporarily. And don't forget the tow tractor.
Yeah, can't forget the tractor. Much cheaper, obviously, but still, essential gear down the drain. They use those things constantly for moving jets around, for maintenance, getting them ready for flight ops.
Yeah.
Just basic logistics in the hangar.
All part of the daily routine on a carrier. until it's not.
Right. And this whole thing happened, as you mentioned, during a pretty tense time. The Truman wasn't just sailing by, it was actively part of the U.S. military push against the Houthis in Yemen.
Yeah. C&D and COM confirmed daily strikes were happening. So the operational tempo was high, the threat environment was real, and evasive maneuver makes a lot more sense in that light.
Adds weight to it, definitely. And then there's the Houthi claim of attacking the carrier around then. We don't know for sure if that specific attack directly caused this specific turn.
But the investigation will have to look at that, surely. The fact they needed to maneuver so hard suggests the threat, real or perceived, was significant.
Yeah, it raises questions. Despite all this, the Navy quickly put out statements saying, the Truman Strike Group is still fully mission capable.
Standard procedure. Projecting strength, maintaining deterrence. You can't afford to look weakened, especially there.
Makes sense. Let's talk about the ship itself for a second. The USS Harry S. Truman, CVN-75, it's a Nimitz-class carrier. Nuclear-powered. These things are giants.
Absolutely. The biggest warships ever built, really. Floating cities, nuclear-powered, commissioned back in '98.
Home-ported in Norfolk, Virginia, part of the Atlantic Fleet. Its whole job is basically being a mobile airport, right? Launching and recovering planes anywhere, anytime.
Pretty much. And the specs are just mind-boggling. Over 1,000 feet long, displaces 100,000 tons.
Speed over 30 knots, and because it's nuclear, the range is basically unlimited. It just keeps going.
Carries a whole air wing, too. Around 60 aircraft, usually. More Super Hornets like the one that was lost, growlers for electronic attack.
E-2 Hawkeyes, the eyes in the sky, helicopters for various things.
It's a massive amount of air power. And it has its own defenses, too, of course. Missiles like the Sea Sparrow, phalanx Gatling guns for close-in defense.
Right, the CIWS system, plus electronic warfare stuff, and about 5,000 people keeping it all running.
Like a small town, yeah. Built to last, too. With refits and upgrades, the Truman's expected to be sailing well into the 2040s.
So this incident, while serious, isn't like the end of the ship's career or anything?
No, not at all. But it seems the Truman has had, well, a bit of an eventful deployment recently, even before this.
Yeah, that came up in the sources, too. There was that friendly fire incident back in December.
Oh, right, where the USS Gettysburg, one of its escorts, shot down a Super Hornet taking off from the Truman.
That's the one. Pilots ejected safely, thankfully, but still, not great.
Not great at all. And wasn't there something else more recently? A collision.
Yep. February, near Port Said in Egypt, collided with a civilian merchant ship. Caused some damage.
And the COSOS relieved of command after that, wasn't he? Loss of confidence.
That's the official term, yeah. So, friendly fire, a collision, and now a jet falling overboard.
It does paint a picture of a deployment facing some serious challenges. The Reddit comments you mentioned picked up on this too, right?
Oh, yeah. People were referencing the shot down their own plane thing and rammed a civilian boat. The language is cruder online, obviously, but it reflects that these previous incidents haven't gone unnoticed.
It certainly highlights the risks. Operating these massive, complex machines in busy, sometimes hostile waters. Things can go wrong, even with the best training and tech.
No kidding. And speaking of Reddit, the reactions to this incident were pretty much what you'd expect.
Let me guess. Memes and disbelief.
Lots of that.
Yeah.
Some dark humor, like, that's an expensive offering for Neptune, or just $70 million. Uff.
Yeah.
Gotta find humor somewhere, I guess. But also some serious points mixed in. Like we discussed with the evasive turn, some people were saying, hey, if they had to turn that hard to dodge something, maybe the Houthi missiles are actually pretty accurate.
That's a valid question to raise. It makes you think about the threat assessment.
And there was speculation about the immediate cause, of course. Jokes about forgetting the wheel chocks or trying to do donuts in the hangar bay.
Right, the usual online speculation. Fun, but probably not what happened.
Probably not. But there were also serious concerns about accountability. Who's going to get fired for this? People predicting heads would roll from the captain up.
Understandable reaction when something this valuable is lost in such a strange way.
And questions about procedure, too. Like, shouldn't aircraft be secured better, especially if the ship might need to maneuver sharply? Seems basic.
It does, and those are exactly the questions the official Navy investigation needs to answer. They've confirmed one is underway.
Good. They need to figure out the exact sequence, the specific factors, why control was lost.
Absolutely. Determine the root cause, see if procedures need changing.
So if we pull it all together, it looks like a perfect storm, almost. You have a jet being moved, the ship makes a sudden, violent maneuver, probably dodging a real or perceived threat,
And the physics of that role, combined with the hangar bay design.
allows a $60 million asset and its tractor to just slide out into the ocean.
It's still kind of hard to believe, honestly. It's just not something you expect to happen. Even in a war zone, losing a jet this way feels unique.
It really does. It underscores the unpredictable nature of these operations, maybe. And the financial hit is undeniable. Plus, now we wait for the investigation.
Yeah, lots of unanswered questions.
Yeah.
What exactly were the towing procedures at that moment? How imminent were the threat? What will the Navy conclude?
It's a stark reminder, isn't it, about how complex this all is. Operating this high-end tech in volatile regions, the interplay between the machine, the environment, the human element.
And basic physics. Sometimes it just comes down to gravity and momentum. It shows the constant pressure, the need for vigilance, the inherent risks.
So maybe something for you, listening, to think about. Just consider that complexity. Operating these billion-dollar carriers, these multi-million-dollar jets, in places where things can change in an instant. What are those unseen risks? What split-second decisions are being made constantly?
This incident, strange as it is, gives us a real glimpse, doesn't it? A peek into those incredibly high-stakes realities that are usually hidden from view.